Hey everybody, it's Tripl-L and now let's talk Shokugeki no Soma chapter 273. Alright, so I'm just gonna clear my bias out of the way so that you guys know. You guys know I like shipping a lot. I like anything about it. It really lightens up my day. It's one of the spices of my life. I find it really funny. I don't know why, but I really enjoy it. So because of that, Suzuki, because we don't know if he's Asahi yet, Suzuki ends up being one of my favorite guys for this, just because he's the one that's getting us into situations where Irina gets to hear wonderful lines like, "I will be the one to take Irina as my wife, and Nakiri and her tongue are mine." This is the best. I enjoy this so much. Now, we've established that Soma is too pure-hearted to even think about girls in that way, but I'll enjoy it because this is just hilarious for me. Okay, so that aside, that little romantic thing isn't gonna really make this a whole lot better. I will say that I enjoy, on the initial look, I do enjoy that the villain is motivated by something that's romance related. I think that's, I like it, right? But that doesn't take away from the fact that there's a few weird things in this whole situation. First off, I'm not even gonna bother questioning the age difference, right? I'm not gonna bother. Irina's probably 16 now. Age of consent in Japan. I'm also gonna think this guy is probably in his 20s, maybe early 20s, which means that you give it a few years. If he was 30, Irina would be just what, 24 maybe, or 26. Point is, if this guy gets to 30 and he's in his early 20s now, the age problem is not gonna be a problem. The guy could, if we were talking logistics, the guy could just get engaged with her and then just wait 6 years and then get married to her, right? So I'm not gonna even bother questioning the little bit of the age discrepancy there, just because Japan could probably finagle it somehow. But I do think that there are some problems revolving around the age in general, and it really starts with Saiba. Oh, sorry, Joichiro, because there's a Saiba now. It starts with Joichiro. In this chapter, we find out that it's not a love child. It's just flat out Joichiro found an orphan, which I think we mentioned in the last video. Of the two scenarios though, now that we got this one, I kind of feel I would have rather the love child, because that one just seems more, that one seems a little bit more believable. But in terms of manga, having a disciple is the more believable option, or the more likely option. Anyway, I guess the first big problem that I get in all this is what Dojima tells us. First off, I think it's really cool that the doctor went out of his way to tell Dojima and warn him that Asahi was coming, right? I think that was really cool, and it's a nice way of bringing Dojima back into the story to give us the info dump. But the thing that I find is really interesting is that he met Joichiro 10 years ago, Saiba did, and that's just really interesting, right? We got a little shot of Joichiro in the old days, him wearing a little bit of a cowboy's hat, and then we see how young he is. So that's 10 years ago. That's when Soma is 6, right? He met this little kid, which means that really Asahi isn't that much older than Soma. And the thing that I find the most concerning really is just that Joichiro, at a time when he has a young child, is traveling around the world long enough to meet a kid, long enough to teach that kid how to cook well, and long enough to have a significant relationship with, well, long enough to have a significant relationship with him such that the kid thinks that he could be Joichiro's son. Which, not gonna question that. The kid's an orphan. You never know how they attach to people. But it's just, the thing that I want to hit on is, he's doing these kind of maneuvers and he doesn't talk to Soma. I know that we established that Joichiro has his own life. We know that Joichiro is really independent. But this part just feels a little bit scummy. Just something about it just feels a bit scummy. I wonder where Joichiro's wife was in all of this. Where was she already? I'm gonna assume she's passed away. Was she already passed away? Did he go back home and tell her, "Hey, honey, I met this really cool little kid that I'm now treating as my other son"? Well, Joichiro might not have actually thought of him as another son. But you can't tell. Like last time, Joichiro was fine with calling him his other son and all that, and it's just, it's interesting. I think this is where like Joichiro's parenting style starts to just unravel a little bit. I think this is just a step too far. I mean, this is like Joichiro is actively influencing the upbringing of another person, right? And he doesn't tell Soma about it, or like I don't know, man. Like this one's just bothering me a little bit. I'd be interested to know what you guys think. Do you care? Do you not care? Do you just accept it a part of the story? I think it's the scummier thing that Joichiro has done here, just because this seems like a really big detail. But what that ultimately tells us, though, is that the relationship between these two, there might be more context here. Like Joichiro might not be all that invested into the relationship as much as Asahi is, but Asahi has taken a lot of lessons from Joichiro, like cooking for someone that you care about, and that's ultimately what's motivating this entire arc, right? Or at least, yeah, well actually, yeah, it's motivating this whole arc, because now Irina once again becomes the center of everything, except this time it's actually still revolving around her god tongue. That's actually pretty interesting now that I realize it. Yes, this whole conflict is again revolving around Irina's godly tongue. Like, my god, guys. How did the guy even find out about her? Well, no, Irina's a legend, right? So, overall, I don't know what else to say about this, because what we got in this chapter is the info dump about the reality of Asahi, and then we have the Soma versus Suzuki struggles happening in the background. Now the next big thing of interest is just the way that Soma's rationalizing this, and this is kind of going back towards the shipping angle, but like Soma's hearing this guy talk, right? He's hearing this guy tell that he wants a woman, well, how does he say? He wants a woman that he can offer all his cooking to, and like Soma's listening to it, and Megumi is like listening to it too, and she's noting that Soma seems to be okay with this, but then he takes like the big step. He says the big no-no when he points out he wants Irina, and then Soma's response that he wants Irina's tongue, you know, like it's a bit questioning, right? It's like he ignores the whole part about wanting to marry Irina and just focuses in on the tongue, which I think is funny. But I ultimately think like what I think happened is that the kid just didn't listen to any part about the romance and just listened to the part of this guy wants Irina to taste test his dishes, right? Like Soma still needs to feed Irina a meal. I still think Soma wants to beat Irina, so it's just interesting how that works out. But I do think that level of ignorance is a bit too much. Like the kid's so pure. So, is Soma gonna win? Honestly, given how ignorant this kid's acting, I'd rather Soma lose. I'd rather Asahi Suzuki just wipe the floor with him. I think that'd be funnier. Just because Soma's... I think if Suzuki is following the Saiba way of life, that is cooking for someone you care about, Soma by all means should lose this one. So I'm going to be pretty interested to see that next chapter. But I hope the Shokugeki itself doesn't last more than 2 chapters, just because I kind of want to push forward here. Anyway, Irina's flustered face is hilarious and cutely adorable. So overall, I really like this chapter. I like that Suzuki is doing things out of love, but it's mildly irksome that we're again centering it around Irina. Like, yeah, we're doing it for different reasons, but the conflict again is coming down to the existence of the god tongue. Man, it'd be a tragedy for the cooking world if Irina was just to die in a weird elliptical accident. Anyway, guys, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this very short impressions. I don't really have much to say just because this was kind of a transitionary chapter. But let me know if you have any thoughts and anything I missed down below. And yeah, till next time, I hope you have a great day.